How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We're gonna stick with a similar theme to my last video. So last video is like, what's in my tackle bag? This is kind of along the same lines, but switched up a little bit. So we're gonna do what's in my homemade lure box. And there's a lot of stuff in there from me making fishing lures. I pulled out a lot of what I think is like the most, some of the most notable things in there. Things I'm proud of, some things that are kind of weird. And we're just going to go through it and we're going to talk about where I see this going the next future, I don't know, next couple of years. Like my goals for it, what I want to do with it. So this is something that gotta consult my notes here. Gotta be organized, or else I'll just start rambling off on stuff. So I've been doing this for about the past 4 years, and we're gonna go through kind of different categories of them. So we're gonna start off with like tying bucktails, things like that. So probably one of the easier things to do. Just went to like a lot of tackle shops like Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops. They have, the fly tying section or like whatever. So I got jig heads and I bought marabou feathers and just tied these up, and they're really cool. I really like these. They have a lot of action. They're good for walleye and everything. Then one of my uncles, shout out to you, Mike, you're a unit, got some bucktail off of him, and literally the tail was like fresh off this buck, and I had to take the tailbone out, salt it, cure it, get it all fleshed out, and it's in my freezer right now. I feel like that's, after it's dried out, that's the best place for it. But tied up a lot of bucktail jigs, so I'll probably be using these for like saltwater fishing here coming up. Kind of like a cool thing is I kind of experimented on like dyeing them too. So how I did that was I just mixed together different food colorings and then vinegar and water, and you just let that your bucktail sit in there for a couple hours, and like it holds pretty good color. Like that's like a neon green and a neon pink. Awesome, fun little thing to do. But then I kind of experimented on like different kinds of non-traditional hair fur alternatives. So at like this trapping shop, they had scraps, and I got some coyote, like a strip of coyote fur, a little scrap of that. And so like the top is like really soft and fluffy, and then it's like very coarse and stiff. So it's kind of got a unique action to it. And I've got when I was out in the Black Hills, I got hit on this a lot because it's more of, a natural color. I got hit on this a lot by stalker trout, but they were like literally, it was hitting and swimming away. So probably my favorite lures that I make, that my better half has affectionately named seahorses, because they kind of got the vibe of that, of a seahorse, is these little crappie jigs. Like these things slap. And again, it's just that marabou feather and then some chemile. I don't know how to pronounce that. Stuff you can get at, fly tying section or at a fly fishing shop. So those slap. Like we have like caught a ton of crappie, perch, bluegill, white bass. Like she caught a flippin' clam on one. That was like outrageous. So moving on into like the next little section, it's kind of broken down into like kind of bladed baits, if you will. So one of the first things that I made was I took some silverware. I'm sorry, Mom. I stole some spoons and I cut them up and I literally made a spoon out of it. And I haven't like really used this a whole heck of a lot, but I just thought it was something kind of cool to do. I made one of these for my buddy Austin, and he actually caught a pike on one. So that was pretty cool to see my stuff in action. But also you kind of like make like a little bit of like novelty lures along the way. So in that like novelty category, I made some. This is like an inline spinner, but the blade is this summer shandy bottle cap. It doesn't work that good, but it's, you know, it's nice and decorative. And with that theme is, I know these are like more of like, this is like what you see when you see like bottle cap lures. So I've actually caught a bass on this Guinness Blonde bottle cap. And it was during a time when the fishing was super good. Like I could catch them on anything, and I was like, I'm gonna throw out the most random thing that I can. And you know, apparently they wanted the Guinness. I don't blame them. I want one too. Down south, I can't find this beer down here. It's not down here, so it's kind of a sad thing. But I made like these. I took like 2 grain belt bottles and smushed them together, and it has like some split or BBs in there, and it's just like glued together. Put a hook on it. I've never caught anything on it, but again, it's like one of those novelty lures. It's like, why not like have something? And then probably one of the coolest things that I made that like actually works, I'm like pretty proud of, is the pop can blade baits. And that's actually the first video that I ever did was making one of these. I was just going off that 1/2 ounce lead barrel weight, and more towards the front. That's trial and error. That's what I figured out worked the best. And then I have like 4 different holes cut out there that I've drilled out. So it gives you a little bit more options on how fast you want it to vibrate. But before I left South Dakota, I caught a walleye on this, and I was so excited, just messing around with my boy Pierce. We're out on the river, caught a walleye. It's the only fish we caught, but it was a lot of fun. So probably my favorite lure, and it's like nothing fancy or anything, but I like made this jerk bait. Red and orange, kind of got stripes on it. At one point it did have a bill, but hooked myself. This was my nightmare. I'm too animated. So this was like the first fish, this was the first lure that I caught a fish on. So I caught a pike on this, and it still has, whoa, you can kind of see the teeth marks on top of this. But this is something I'm not going to repaint. This is like a lure. I should probably just take the hooks off because this is dangerous. These are sharp. I'll probably just going to take the hooks off, and I have this neat idea to make a driftwood piece of art, and I kind of started it back in Midwest, but I didn't have enough space to bring it down with me. So literally I had one thing on it, so I wasn't too upset about just kind of tossing it. But I'm gonna make driftwood kind of sculpture and attach the various lures that I've made, or lures that are getting retired, or kind of crusty ones that I find. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe even attach on old fishing rods that are maybe I've broken, or things like that. I'm good. I'm not bleeding, but that kind of hooked. That kind of hurt when I hooked myself. That was literally my worst fear became a reality. Moving on to a couple cool things. So, like, kind of jerkbait, crankbait category, sticking with that. I made this like little jelly bean of a crankbait, and I've yet to like test it out and fish with it, but I thought it was like just the cutest little thing. And I was like, I want to like continuously try to make like the smallest lures that I like physically can. So thus far, it's that right there. But I've been working on another one, and it's this right here, and like it is significantly tinier. So I'm just gonna kind of like, it's probably the tiniest I'll be able to like get. So we'll see how that goes. That'll probably be like a video down the road. I made my fiance this like little jerkbait, which is kind of cool. I have a lot of plans to like redo a lot of stuff, like make improvements, because as I've gone about making more lures, you learn more as you go. And so this one needs a little bit of work. I made this square bill crankbait when I was in college. And again, like this thing got some weight behind it. I put like way too much weight in it. It just like sinks like a rock, just straight to the bottom. Something that I want to modify a little bit more, see if I can get it better. If not, it's just gonna go on like the sculpture that I'm gonna make. So, which will be cool. Like if stuff can't be fixed, it's gonna go on the sculpture. It's gonna look nice. Another one that I made this one. This one's kind of neat. It's also like a square bill crankbait, and this is made out of a penny. In high school, I was like, I'm just gonna try to make it out of like the craziest stuff, and made it out of the craziest stuff, like spray paint, Sharpie, like glitter nail polish over it. It's like a flat-sided square bill crankbait, so it's kind of cool. I think this one like works decently, but it's just like, again, just kind of like maybe modifying, tweaking them now that I've learned a bit more to make them work better. Then I made this big, like kind of like jerkbait, like deep diving jerkbait, crankbait, like hybrid thing. I don't know. I was just like, I'm just gonna make like a big jerkbait, and this thing just like dive straight down to the bottom. You can feel it like digging like off the bottom. It's kind of cool. Like I think this would be like, and it's pretty even. It kind of has like this iridescent paint to it that the camera's not really picking up. But this was like cool. I think this would have been good if we were like pulling plugs for walleye, just because how deep this thing dives. And it's like weighted pretty decently too. I think I'm just gonna like throw an epoxy clear coat on this and call it good. And we're gonna make a video one of these days when I get my fishing license. It's so frustrating. When I get my fishing license, we're gonna make a video about catching fish on just homemade lures. Granted, not a lot of these are good. A lot of these are like pretty crusty. But that's the thing. You keep learning, you keep like educating yourself, and eventually like things are gonna get a little bit better. This one's cool. This one's like, I made this in high school, and I think this is like one of the better ones. It's kind of like this jointed, it's kind of like a swim bait, kind of like a jerk bait, but it has like a good action in the water, and I am honestly surprised that I have not caught anything with this, but we will. we will catch a fish with this. It has like a pretty decent action through the water. So, but again, spray paint, and it has like a ton of nail polish, like the glittery nail polish. This was one of the ones that I made like right before we moved. And I'm like actually like pretty proud of it. And it needs like an epoxy clear coat, but it's like this lipless crankbait that I made, and I was kind of going for like a Spider-Man-esque kind of paint job to it, and I think I did like pretty decent. But this has like this sinks, which I wanted it to do, and it sinks head forward, and it has like a good action through the water, like pretty decent, and it's silent, so it's something a little different, but it's bright, it's flashy. I think it'll work. It's just fine. It's just making a video and like taking time to like see what all needs to be modified. So going into this like next part here. So this is the cork frog lure that I made in one of my videos, and this thing has like a good action to it. The only thing I'm going to do to it is like this hook is pointed down. I want it pointed up, so I'm going to get it bent up, just to have like little better hook sets. And this will be a fun thing to fish down here. Like I'll probably like throw this overthrowing like a hollow body frog, just so I can say that I caught a fish on a champagne cork lure. Now these next ones are probably my favorite, because these are the ones that look good, work well, and that I'm like most proud of. So this is like an early popper that I made, and this thing like has a fantastic action. Like this like walks like no other. Like I throw this on my spinning rod, the one that I spray painted pink. I threw this on my spinning rod, and this thing just back and forth walks like really well, and it walks really well like fast. So this thing was so cool. This thing is so cool. I'm so excited to catch fish on this. I wish I would have used this more and would have fished for tried to fish for smallmouth more, because I think this would have slapped. So this next one, same category, top water, that's what the rest of these are going to be, is a spook style bait. And I kind of went for a uncanny Deadpool kind of color scheme to this. So like gray, black, and red. And this works pretty good. It sits how I want it. I don't think everything is symmetrical with this, or there's not enough weight towards the back, because it tends to want to roll over. So I believe there's not enough weight towards the back of it to keep it down so it can walk better. Because like you can get it walking pretty decently once you get a good cadence down, and like walking's not something I'm like very good at. That's something I need to work on. But you can get it like walking pretty decently. But if you get a good cadence going, but if you just like are trying to walk it slow, it'll just like go to one way, and it's like really frustrating. So it's like one thing I don't use often. Probably go to the sculpture. So these next ones, this is something I've been developing for a while because of my goals with my baits. So this one's like crazy like color, like purple, green, blue polka dots, like white polka dots. Then this one's just white, but these are made out of resin that I've I've casted off of like a blank that I made. So with these are like topwater rat wake baits. So I've been developing these for a while. This is something that I want to custom make and like hopefully sell a couple, because I haven't sold any of these because I'm still developing them, trying to get them perfect. But I have sold in the past a custom rat wake bait similar to this one, hell of a lot bigger than this one. This is the lure that I am most proud of. This is my first rat wake bait, and this thing is so cool. I've only caught 2 fish on it, one in South Dakota, one down south here, and it is so flipping cool in the water, like how it just back and forth, and like this like pink zoom trickworm tail just like flaps back and forth. It's like it's just like flipping so awesome, and it has these like on the epoxy finish. It has these sandpaper bass bites on it. It's so flipping cool. I'm so excited about this lure. Like I'm just amazed that I made something that works that well and that I enjoy fishing with so much. And like that's gonna lead into like this next part, like where do I see this going? So like originally I really would have liked to build up like a stockpile of stuff, like maybe sell some like bucktails and whatever, some crappie jigs, and I still really would like to do that, but right now I'm kind of focused on developing like the smaller rat wake baits, just something like smaller, something people are like a little bit more like aren't intimidated by like throwing, because like I felt intimidated throwing this, and this is like, in the grand scheme of things, this is not a big rat to be throwing. Like there's huge ones out there, and like this one's only about 1 ounce. I can like throw this on my regular gear. So that's kind of my goal. I want something a little bit smaller people won't be intimidated by, so they can get into it and can throw it on the regular gear and not like have to worry about like the rod snapping in half because they're throwing something way bigger than what the rod is made for. And then I said the thing about making like a driftwood sculpture, retiring some fishing lures, and attaching them onto that. I think that'd be really cool. Be a really like unique kind of man cave art piece, if you will. So I really want to like do that. I want to like make develop some like really nice custom baits that I'm really proud of, that I would be proud of other people purchasing, going out, catching fish with, having success on it. Just like I've been having some success with this. And I'm sure I will catch a ton more bass on this down south here once I get my license. And I'm so flippin' pumped for it. Some of the other things kind of behind the scenes, if you will, of like what I'm going to be working on is, so we'll start with this. So you saw like the tiny little crankbait. That's something that's going to be like kind of unique and cool. But also like on my Instagram, I teased this a little bit. I've been working on like this little tiny bluegill swim bait. Again, maybe this is something that like I'll make a cast of it, and I'll make it out of like resin, just so I'm not like carving each and every one, just so I can more readily make I can make them easier than carving them all individually, and they'll all be pretty much the same. with that, it's just going to be investing more into some equipment. Like I want a lead pot and I want an airbrush. I think those are two of the biggest things that I would need. Probably the airbrush before anything else, because right now I've just been using paintbrushes, and I feel like that only goes so far for how I want to make them look. Like probably like my favorite paint job is like this rat. It's kind of like demon-esque, if you will, which is kind of like what I've been going for. So the next thing after I get the rats, this baby bluegill swim bait, once I get those like all good how I want them, I'm gonna make a little bit bigger sized swim bait, kind of that bluegill shaped, but nothing like crazy tall, because I know there's like certain things you have to worry about once your bait gets like so tall. You have to worry more about it like rolling over. So that's some of the things that I like really want to focus on. Like if you like want to work on something, definitely feel free to like DM me. Like I'm still like learning a bunch of stuff. I'm still like really wanting to like better myself and better like how my baits look, how my baits perform, because like right now like they don't, like honestly, like I don't think they look that great, but part of that is just like the paint scheme, honestly. And let's be real, like a lot of people buy fishing lures because of how they look and not necessarily like how they work. Like, are you telling me that a flippin' like hollow body like spider like works that well, or like flippin' parrot, topwater parrot? Like, come on, that stuff is so like gimmicky, and it's just like people buy it because it's like because of how it looks. It's something different. So I really want to like make my lures look a lot more professional in how they look, but also making sure that they are work to the best that I can do. So kind of with this, like I'm gonna tell a little bit of my goals. So my goal is when I hit 100 subs, I will make a lure of the winner's choice, and we're going to do a giveaway. I think that's fair. That's something that I'd really enjoy doing. And by then, I'll probably have this thing like going pretty good, or we could do a rat wake bait. Then also, when I hit 2,000 followers on Instagram, I think that's also I also think that's like a fair number. I think that's good. I'll do a giveaway as well. Again, like whatever the winner, it's like winner's choice basically, which I think will be fun. It's kind of like giving back, because I'm the kind of person where I love to help people. Like if I can help you in any way, I definitely will. I would give somebody the shirt off of my flipping back and bend over backwards to like help somebody out. And if more people in the world were like that, we'd be living in a lot better of a society. So that's what I'm going to leave you off on. I hope you enjoyed this. It definitely went a heck of a lot longer than I wanted to. Thing says 29 minutes, so it's like a half-hour video. But I hope you stick with it. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you next week.